Hello, it's Saltbox Stitcher here. How are you? It's been a long time, about a month, I think. I just have not gotten my stuff together. This is typical me. I get busy with one thing and then other stuff kind of goes by the wayside, so I'm sorry. But I'm back, and it's Labor Day, September 3rd, and I'm going to do this is going to be a little ode to Blackbird Designs. Now, I know everybody's decorating for fall. I've actually put a few fall things up, but this is Florida. So fall in Florida happens in January when the leaves actually fall off the trees. So, but can't handle, having summer decorations up. So usually about the 1st of October, I'll put decorations. And then I'm always sad because my Halloween or whatever, I put it up and it's only up for a couple weeks. And then I think next year I'm going to start earlier. So I did start a little bit early for me. I love September. September in the Midwest used to mean such, beautiful colors and everything. But here it's still hot. So, but it can be fall in my mind, right? Or in my house. So anyway, yeah, I'm going to call this Ode to Blackbird because I've done a lot of Blackbird, and I think in my very first video I told you about kind of having a little bit of a connection with them. So I have a lot of stuff to show you, and I'm hoping in a couple weeks I'll come back and I'll do a fall one. I'm waiting for a couple things that are being framed, so hopefully they'll be back, and I'll be able to include those with my fall stuff and show you some of those. But as you can see, I have some holes on the wall because I've taken them off to show you. So we'll go further. The next thing I wanted to talk about, or the first thing I want to talk about, is giveaway. I'm such a novice at all this. It's kind of sad. But anyway, last time I mentioned I was doing a giveaway, and the question was, do you like your name? And I was amazed, and it was so interesting to read so many people's comments about how they'd never thought of whether they like their name or whether they don't like their name. A few people who had what I would call traditional boy names said, the struggles they went through ending up in the boys' locker room and all that. That could have been on purpose, but anyway. So it was just really interesting. I just really enjoyed all your comments and tried to respond to most. I had kind of a glitch for a while and I couldn't respond, but I read them all, and I'm so appreciative that you comment on my videos. This is number 4, by the way. I'm out of sequence and telling you all this stuff. But anyway, the giveaway. So I had planned this video to be about Blackbird Designs, and so my giveaway was to be this book, Shall I Compare Thee to a Summer's Day, which is, I think they released 2 books at market, and this is one of them. And so I'm going to give one away. And then Ellen Chester and Needleworker Ellen, fabulous sampler stitcher, and since a lot of my last video was on samplers, she graciously sent me 3 patterns to share as a giveaway. This was one of the ones that I had shown, Hannah Cummins, 1828, that I had finished. So that will be included in the giveaway. And then she sent me this one, which even if you're not a sampler, oh my goodness, is that not gorgeous? Quaker Sampling 3. And I already had this pattern kitted up, ready to go with some Gloriana threads. So she said, keep these or give them away. Well, I'm giving them away. This one also Quaker Samplings, which is, I think there's a number 2 also, but this is the first one, and then the one I just showed you is number 3. So anyway, she sent me those, and this one is done in blues. I don't know if you can tell that. And she graciously said that, I could keep and stitch or pass them along in a giveaway. I thought I didn't have this one, so I was like, oh, I may keep that one and stitch it. I do have it. So I'm giving all 3 of them away. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Ellen. That was just so gracious, and I really appreciate it. And I know that whoever wins this will be appreciative. This is a freebie Blackbird chart. For some reason, I have about 3 of them, so I've never stitched it, but it would be a really easy stitch. And let's see, it's just black. It's 72 by 126, so depending on, it could easily be a small. So that's part of the giveaway. And then I have 2 of, I'm sorry about the glare, 2 of their Rewards of Merit. This one is called Bluebird, and this one is called Bird in Hand. So I looked at all the comments through this morning, and I went ahead and picked a winner. So the winner is Lynn Benchick. Her first name is Lynn. Last name is spelled B-E-N-C-I-C. So if Lynn, you're out there, contact me. You can Instagram message me, and I am CBW Quilts on Instagram. Or you can send me an email at cbwquilts@hotmail. So let me know your address, and I will send you all these good things. And then, while I'm on giveaway, I might as well go ahead and talk about the next one I want to do. I am going to, I really had thought about doing this as my first giveaway, but I couldn't quite figure out how to mail it. So I'm going to make a project roll. And I have some more black, it won't be the exact fabric as this. I have some more Blackbird fabric. And I'm going to make this for the next giveaway. But I think what I'm going to do, because it has a piece of, a cardboard roll on the inside. Oh, there's floss. That's going to be the question. Anyway, it has a cardboard roll in here. And then I actually took pieces of cardboard and to make the template and left them in there for the ends. But I'm thinking what I'm going to do, I hope this works, is I'm only going to attach one of the ends part way so that you can put your own roll in there, and then you can finish attaching it. If that sounds too complicated, I might look at another, but this is such an odd size, and maybe I should just do a smaller one that's not as big that I could fit in a box. But it's a great idea. I just need to figure out how to mail it. So that will be the next giveaway. So the question for that one is, where's the funniest place you ever found floss that from a project you're working on? Obviously, we find floss all over the place, but one of the quilt shops that I was working at, some of the gals, we went to market, and the owner was really gracious. She said, if you pay your own way, you can go to market, which doesn't sound gracious, but they only had so many. She would pay your food and your lodging. You just had to pay your own way there. So anyway, she was stitching a project in the car on the way to market. And all of a sudden she was like, where's that rest of that red floss? I just had some red floss. Couldn't find it. Everybody looked. Was it in your bra? No, it wasn't in her bra. Looked all over. Couldn't find it. Stopped at a rest stop. Went to the bathroom. And there it was in her underwear. Now, how in the world does floss get in your underwear when you're stitching? I have no idea. I have found floss under my pillow. Don't know how. A lot of times I will have, a couple strands left, and I'm like, well, what did I had them right here. This is why Kelly makes Bitsy Bottoms, so that you can, figure out where to put those extra strands of floss. But I usually do the turnaround, I'll say to my husband, okay, look on my back. Is it on my back? Where is it? No, I don't see it. Or, I found it in the kitchen, on the kitchen floor. One time, I found it in the pot of coffee. I don't know. Don't ask because I don't know. Yeah, my husband was drinking a cup of coffee and he's like, what is this? I don't know. This is some of your thread. It's floss. Don't call it string. Drives me nuts when people call it string. It's not string. It's floss. Anyway, what's the funniest place that you've found floss? And I'm sure we all have stories, so there you go. Okay, I like to show a couple quilts. So since this is ode to Blackbird Designs, Barb and Alma, look up. I don't think they watch my videos. This is I like to do smaller quilts because I like to put them on the tables. Really small ones I'll put on like my end tables. Mainly because my end tables are like 30 years old, so, you know. Anyway, this one, I don't know if you can see it. It's just a simple, I think I did this with charm squares. If you're a quilter, you know what charm squares. I think I did it with charm squares. And it's just a simple pattern. I believe it's a Miss Rosie Snippets, for those of you who quilt. And it was one of their lines of fabric. And I just love their color schemes. And they've done a lot of different ones. They've gone everywhere from purples to baby blues. And, whoops, something just fell. This is another one, and this one's a little smaller. Another one I did. And all that stitching that you see, like here, that's what I quilt on my machine. And I do it freehand, so it's not perfect. But the Blackbird gals, also, not really quilting, but I don't think she's updated her blog for a while. But they used to, she used to update their blog periodically. Elma did. And one time, a few years ago, quite a few years ago, a bunch of us that worked at the quilt shop that I worked at, my skin looks kind of chalky. I guess I'm okay. I'll blame it on the light. Everybody blames it on the light. Light's good, light's bad. It's the lighting. Never mind. Anyway, on their blog, you can go to Blackbird Designs blogspot. I think it's Blackbird-Designs blogspot, but just Google Blackbird Designs and you can find it. But they did a little tutorial on their blog for a covered box. And if you go to the search bar and just put in covered box, when I did it, part 2 came up, so I kind of had to go back and search for part 1. But anyway, at the quilt store, a bunch of us got together at one gal's house and we decided we were going to do these boxes. So there's no cross stitch on it. But it's fabric covered. And she's very detailed in how she tells you to do it. So they come out really, really nice. And if you, Kitten Stitcher, my BFF, she talked to them at Market. This past year, she did a little interview with different designers at Market. And she showed how they, one of the things they're really good at, they take finished cross-stitch pieces, and Barb takes them to Kinko's and gets a color copy. And then you have this big piece of color copy that you can use for whatever. So I took one of my cross-stitch designs and did that. And so this part is just paper that I've glued in. But it's in the stack, so I'll show you later. But isn't that a clever idea? And then I just took a doily, and she shows you how to do the top, you know. So this is just paper. So if you go to Blackbird Designs, covered box, you know, do it as a fun project. Get together with friends. You have to have some space because you have to each have, you know, room, and you have to be able to iron inner facing or light, keep heat and bottom light on there. So, But then I just attached a doily. I have no idea who made this doily. It's one that was passed down from my grandmother. I made a wool heart, and I just glued that to the top. You know, I'm really glue challenged. I sound like I use glue all the time, but I'm really kind of glue challenged. So anyway, makes a cute box for whatever you want to put in it. Sewing things or whatever. So that was one of the things that I've done. That was Blackbird. Blackbird Designs came to Jacksonville one time, to the quilt shop where I worked. And that quilt shop also had cross stitch. She had a limited amount of cross stitch, but she did have cross stitch. So she carried the loose feathers and a lot of their designs. But this was the project that we worked on, scissor box and pin keep. And this was, we did it in the classroom. It was a one-day class. So we learned how to cover the box with paper. Mine's has a little bit of wear on it. And there again, this is where they have taken samplers and just made copies. And we actually roughed up the edges. I need to apply some, I don't know, shoe polish or Minwax or something to kind of darken it up again, because over the years it's kind of worn. And I probably should paint the inside of this, but this was just a little removable. There again, I might have glued it, but that's a little removable pin cushion that goes in there. And then the little pin keep that goes with it, you just set in there. You know, I just love all the set around stuff. Just don't always have room for it, but I love it. I think that's in a book somewhere. I looked and I couldn't find it in a book. There's a couple other things I've done that I found in books. This was another class project that I did with Blackbird Designs. And they gave us the box, and then we painted it and painted the inside. We stenciled this and painted the inside. And then this, I finished the cross stitch and attached it way after the class was over. The main part of the class was the box, and I think we started the cross stitch. And this is completely filled in, so it's full coverage. That was really fun. And that one, I did see in a book somewhere. Oh no, I lied. The next one, hold on just a minute, let me see. I don't know what I did with the other thing I was going to show you. But I also did this. Oh, I see it. I'm going to pause for just a second and then I'll come back. Okay. Hold on. I'll be right back. You hear me coming? I'm coming. Okay. Sorry. I thought I had this out and I had all these other little things out. It's this one. And I have this is just one of those paper mache boxes, but it has all this like what's the word I'm looking for? Embossed? I don't know. But it's like raised. This design is raised. So I don't know if you can still get the box. But this was another one. Oh, there's Camille stitching. This was another one, but this one we covered with fabric. And like some of this I didn't finish at the class. But this one is all done with fabric. And then we just painted the inside of the box. I have another box too that I did last year at the retreat. That's more spring. I'll show you that in an upcoming. And then the little pin cushion that goes with it. And I hesitate to show you these things because I know it's like, if you were like me, you'd be like, I want to make that. Yes, that was whining. Anyway, it's called the Thistle House Sewing Box. And this Thistle House Sewing Box. And it was in this book called A Stitcher's Journey. I have no idea. This probably goes for at least 2 or 3 million. Maybe more. I don't know. And this is why when Blackbird comes out with a book, I buy it. Even if I've done all the projects in it, I buy it. Because there's just not a lot, and they do so many designs. And if you look over their repertoire over the years, they have done so many designs. And I guess, you know, I don't know what their minimums are when they have to reprint something. I'm sure they're probably pretty high, and, you know, it's probably a gamble. You know, we've already put this out, and yeah, there's 40 requests for it, but do we really want to print 1,000? You know, I mean, I'm sure that's part of their dilemma, especially if they have 2 or 3 new designs. You know, it's like. So anyway, those are some of the boxes I've made. Now I'm going to show you a parade. I love a parade. It's Labor Day, so, you know, a parade. The first one, I have tried to keep the pieces with the patterns, charts. I say patterns because I'm a quilter, and so many times it's a pattern. This is the first one. Now, if there's dust on these, you're just going to have to forgive me because that's life. This is, there were 3 charts, summer, fall, and winter. Obviously, I did this in 2012. This was really, really fun. And, you know, they do a lot of doodahs. I call them doodahs, these little hanging, you know, these things that are just like out in the middle of nowhere. And I use Vanna's diagonal pin stitch, so at least I don't have so many trailing threads. Try not to. And it came from this. Summer. Oh, it's autumn, not fall. Summer. So you had to have the 3 parts to finish it. Winter and autumn. And the nice thing about Blackbird, you know, there's always extra stuff. Oh, look at that. Is that not fabulous? Until I got these charts out, I kind of forgot those were on there. You know, sometimes I finish them and I have a whole area where I store my charts for stuff I've finished. And then I go back and get it out and I think, oh my gosh, why did I put this away? There's so many other things I could stitch from this. So they are so talented. I can't even begin to tell you how talented I think they are. Okay, I guess I could begin to tell you, just couldn't finish. This was another thing that kind of held me up this month. I really have some things and I really wanted to finish them into smalls. I have been so busy with quilting. And at one time I had somewhere between 18 and 20 quilts to do. And, excuse me. And so I would get, you know, and I really only quilt 3, maybe 4 days a week, but I quilt pretty much all day on those days, you know, like 9 to 3 or 9 to 4. And that's a full day for me. And I stand to do it. So I'm, you know, it's kind of tiring. And I would get, you know, 3 or 4 done, and I would call the people and say, well, your quilt's ready, and they would come pick it up. And I was recently asked if I do the binding on them. No. No. And no. I just quilt them, and I usually trim them for them if they want them trimmed so that they're binding ready. But anyway, so I I would call people and they would say, oh, good, I'll come get them. And I have 3 more for you. Like, okay, thank you. You know, because it's like, I kept wanting to get ahead and I couldn't get ahead. But it's been a nice little extra money. I am going to the Midwest Cross Stitchers Retreat. Woohoo! And my sister's going. She was on the waiting list and she got in. So in October, I'm headed to Minneapolis. My husband already bought my tickets. He must be get rid of me because usually I buy my own. Anyway, it's all the same pot, but you know what I mean. So, and then after I go to that, this is definitely a squirrel paragraph. But anyway, after I go to that, then my sister and I are heading to Wisconsin, Spring Green, Wisconsin, and we are going to stay at the apartment above Country Sampler for 2 nights. Can you believe it? Then when we leave there, we'll head back to Wichita and we'll stitch and stitch and stitch. And I already sent 2 pieces to the cross stitch store in Wichita for framing so that by the time I'm there in October, I can pick them up. All that to say, I hadn't done any smalls. That was a rabbit trail. But I'm still to come back to where I was. So when the day comes where I'm like, where was I? Then I'll be in trouble. This one, I've talked many times about the Old Mill Stitchery. It was in Liberty, Missouri. And it literally was in an old mill. And Barb and Alma designed this chart for Mary and, what was her partner's name? Barb. Mary and Barb. So Alma and Barb designed this for Mary and Barb, who owned the Old Mill Stitchery. And it was for their 25th anniversary of the store being open. And her initial, so that was in 2012, was their 25th anniversary. And it has Mary and it has Barb, their 2 initials. But when I stitched it, let me see if I can make way here. I put my sister's initials, Deborah, and mine, and I put 2001 because that was the first time I ever went to the Old Mill Stitchery. And it's not huge. It'll make a pretty big small, but I think I'm still going to do it in a small. We'll see. I picked some fabric to put on the back, so we'll see. Here's another one that's not done in a small, and I apologize. This was a freebie that Thistle Manor just took one color, but it was a freebie that they gave out at, cross stitch stores. And that will be a neat small. Have the sawdust, everything's ready to go. Haven't done it. Okay, so now just a parade of Blackbird stuff that I've done and framed. This is Loose Feathers, number 3. Loose Feathers originally started out, that was a club, and the Blackbird Girls, I think it came out every other month. And you had to belong to the club, kind of like clubs are now. But later, their Loose Feathers, they just released to everybody. So there's some of the more recent ones, like that fall, winter, summer one that I did. Anybody could buy that. That wasn't a club-specific piece. So anyway, and this one is that one. So obviously, it took me a few years to finish that one. Here's another one. This is Loose Feathers pattern number 21. And, they had for a while, their charts were on the big pieces of paper, and then they went to the smaller ones. Love that. And this one I framed myself, but I haven't finished framing it. I mean, it's like not attached to the frame. Friends, the flowers in the garden of life. Oh, sweet. This is another one, their song. Loose Feathers 24. And this one is fully framed. I didn't frame this, I had it framed. This one you can see has a big, like, you know, where the dye from the linen. I love that. Just makes it look old. I like old stuff. I'm old. This one is another one. Now this wasn't a Loose Feathers. This was in the series of 9 family history patterns, and I love that house. Flowers. You love it all. So this is called Maude Eloise, and I did my great-grandmother, oops, Christina Bauer, and she actually came from Germany. She was my dad's grandmother. She didn't speak very much English, and so I think she died when I was like 8, but I do remember her. We used to call her Big Grandma. My sister's husband's like, was there a little grandma or just a big grandma? We called her Big Grandma instead of Great Grandma, I guess. But yeah, she was big, and she was a little tiny. Real dark hair. Had dark hair, and she was in her 90s when she died, and she still had real dark hair. Next one. A lot of people have shown this one in the last few years on Instagram. Pattern 29, Loose Feathers. I'm still going. I love this. This is really one of my very favorites that they did. And there again, this is one of those ones that when you're doing it, you think, oh, is this house going to show up? You know, I don't mind like a band on a sampler not showing, but, you know, a whole house, it's kind of like, but it's fine and it works good. And you just kind of have to sometimes trust the designers. Most of the Loose Feathers ones, well, all of the Loose Feathers ones, I got from the Old Mill Stitchery as kits. So a lot of them were 30 count linen, which I don't usually stitch on 30 count anymore, but you know, I still have them kitted, so I will finish them. This one looks like it's been to war and back, the pattern. This is Spring's Promise. This is actually Loose Feathers number 1. And the first time I was in the Old Mill Stitchery, so let's see, when did this come out? I don't think it has a date. It was right around 2000, 2001. And they were already putting together kit number 2. And I said, oh, I have to be in that club. And they said, well, we still have some number 1 kits left. So I do have them all. And there it is. Oops. That was very fun. Still going. Okay, this one, Blackbird's Message, Loose Feathers 23. I've done these over the years, so you know this is my segment of the Joan and Kelly Show, vintage. Anyway, love this. Their design elements and their color choices are just really fabulous. Got a leaning tower going on back here. This one. And that is Summer House, Loose Feathers 14. And there's really no rhyme or reason to what I pick. I just go into the, you know, my stash of Blackbird. Just for a break. Okay. The definition of hoard is a supply stored or stockpiled. a stash, a cache. Then that TV show Hoarders came on and showed all these people that just hoard trash in their house. One guy they had to mow the house down because literally had rats' nests that were like sizes of rooms. Okay, you can go vomit now. But, just the normal hoard. That's what it means. Collect, on the other hand, means to gather an accumulation for a hobby. So the choice is yours. You say, I'm a hoarder or I'm a collector. When I used to work at the quilt shop, people would come in and they'd be like, oh, this is gorgeous fabric. I don't know what I'm going to make with it, but I just, I've got to have 3 yards of it. And then somebody would say to them, what are you going to do with all these quilts? And our answer was always, that is a very rude question. What does it matter? This was another one that I really had meant to show you last time on Legacy. And this is upside down. This one is, it's in that new book. What's the name of it? Blossom. It's got the Quaker family history one that a lot of people are stitching. And this is one that has 2 different linens. And I have not framed this. I know you're thinking, well, that was a pretty crummy job. That's just stuck in there. And I put my mother's initials and my father's initials and the year they were married. My parents both died, not at the same time, but when I was in my early 30s. So they waited a while to have kids. So they've been gone a long time. So I like to honor them with things like that. This is another Loose Feathers. This is actually number 2. And I probably could have shown you this one with my Americana. But this is the one that I used to copy the paper for the inside of that box. And I usually have this one. I have some of those easels, big easels. And I use those for, ones that I kind of want to highlight in the season. 2004, I did that one a while ago. And then the next one, or the last one, no, I have 2 more. Let me get this one. This is one, and there again, it's not fully framed. A gal in my stitching group, Yard Girl 60, no I in girl, on Instagram, Susan Aki. She's an accomplished quilter, and she's done her own books. She's kind of amazing. But she is very different. She likes very different colors than I do. She likes teals and kind of peachy oranges and a lot of just softer colors. And I like more traditional colors and dark and dirty. So she had the alphabet on this done and part of the leaves. And she said, I'm giving you this. This just isn't my colors. I don't like it. I was like, okay. So I finished it. And so it was kind of a collaborative effort. And it is in this book, Souvenirs of Summer. You can see it on the back here. And there again, this is probably one that's gone. The last finished piece I'm going to show you. Oh, that Legacy one was also a Reward of Merit. Liberty Rose. But it was also in that book, Blossoms the Rose or whatever, that just came out at market. Am I confusing you? I'm sorry. I thought I had some other stuff. Oh well. This is the last one I'm going to show you. and this is the Agnes Platt Strawberry Sampler. They did not do a reproduction. I mean, they did the chart, but they didn't do an actual reproduction stitched piece of this. This is the antique. And I also finished this. I thought I had it to show you, but I don't see it, so I'll show you next time. I haven't finished it. It's just stitched. Anyway, I need to get some beads to put on it. That's one of the reasons I hadn't finished it. Anyway, this one, and I'm sure Teresa would agree that there are antiques that were done on uneven count linen. So in other words, if it was, 30 one way and 40 the other, then your piece is going to be elongated one way or the other. And so this piece looks square, but because it was done on uneven linen, when you do it on an even count, it comes out not square. So this one is the Agnes Platt Strawberry Sampler. So when I got to a certain point, because it just ends, I'm not even sure if they charted this bottom row of stitching here. And I was like, I just felt like it kind of felt unfinished. So I was at my sister's and I said, what do you think if I add like another row of stitching and just put my name? So I added, here I am down here, wrought by Seawood Church in the year of our Lord, 2016. And I didn't, sometimes I'm a little too impatient for myself. I didn't chart the words, I just started stitching. So sometimes I would use capitals, sometimes I use lowercase. I just kind of was like, I want it to come out sort of similar. So it's really kind of goofy looking, but I sort of like it. It's like, I mean, obviously they had an alphabet. There was an alphabet through right here. So I just used the alphabet, used a couple of the uppercase, and just was like, see, my W is different here than here. But I think it turned out really good. And I actually have this hanging in my bedroom because I have that red, white, and blue in my bedroom. So this was kind of a funny piece because right here are, right here are queen stitches. And they tell you to do, or the chart tells you to do the queen stitches with 2 strands of thread. I was really struggling, and I'm not really proficient at doing, they're also called, I think, rococo. I'm not real proficient at doing them anyway. And so I just got mad and just started stitching just a bunch of junk. And so my friend Ruth, she's like, what are you doing? I'm like, I'm mad. And she said, well, let me stitch the queen stitches for you. So she stitched my queen stitches here. Now, since then, I've done a few things with queen stitches, but they're not my favorite. In fact, I bought a sampler pattern chart. And it's a beautiful chart. I can't remember the name of it. And after I got it, I opened it up. Big, huge sections are in queen stitch. Like, I don't know about that. So anyway, I'm just going to do a couple other things and then I'm going to let you go. I've told you before, and I'm hoping at some point I can show you this finished. But this is my anniversary. But since I'm talking about Blackbird, this is my anniversaries of the heart. Yeah, I'm hoping you can see that because I can't see through. And it's all complete except for the over one. And the over one, I kind of know on some of the months what I'm going to put, but I have a brother that passed away here. I'm going to put his under the Remember Me. My husband was born in October, so I already put his initials here. But in this part here, she puts Missouri is my home. And I love Florida. We've lived here for 30 years. But this is, well, I don't know if this is home. I just want to put like Missouri's my birthplace or something like that. That because this is a sampler of memories. So to me, it should be more about the past. People that were born on certain months and all that. So I still have to figure that. And that I will chart. The over one. And that is the, you know, y'all know the anniversaries of the heart. They're just like, there's 12 of them. So that's that. So yeah, I need to get them done. And I've started on the Garden Club series. And I want to do it, you know, the different colors of linen. And I have 2 of those finished. Whoops, this is the first one. Isn't that cute? This is one of the ones, why am I not being able to get that straight? This would be such a cute small. And then it's like, do I want to restitch it? Because it's so cute. Nicole's Needlework, she did these all on one piece of linen. So cute. And so then I kind of put them away and thought, well, I could make these into smalls and then restitch it on one big piece of linen. Here's that other thing. I knew it was around somewhere. This was from that same Agnes Platt book. And then I need to make into a small. So I have them all kitted, you know. So I think I'm just going to do what I originally was with the linen. So, whips. I posted on Instagram, I'm like a dog with a bone. I am going to finish this Rachel Howell if it kills me. This isn't Blackbird, but this is what I'm working on. So I was working on the second bird last night. I think at 1:30, I was like, okay, I got to go to bed. So up here are just words. I didn't bring the pattern. It's Rachel Howell, 1856 by Scarlett House. Yeah, it's by Scarlett House. There's words up here, and then there's a big tree in the middle with Adam and Eve. And my goal is to finish this by the middle of September. I have to, because I have other stuff to stitch. I'm still working on, sorry. When I stitch over one, I use Q-snap or a hoop. I'm still working on Esther Sire. And I have 3 more lines to do in the over one, and then she'll be done. She's the one I said last time had way overstayed her welcome. I don't know why, but I put stuff away if I get tired of stitching the over one, and I've kept it out for that. I just need to. And then just a couple other things that I want to start after as far as samplers. I have the Red Deer sampler kitted. I love this. It's just bizarre. And I have that kitted with some cedar plank linen by Lakeside and the Call for colors. And then the other thing I have kitted that I want to start on soon is by the Scarlett House. She does wonderful samplers. Tanya. Mary Rowe, 1808. And the colors on this are really nice. Okay, let's do it right. They're Belle Soie, and there's a lot of, they're soft colors. So it'll be pretty. Pretty. Okay. I think that is all I have to say. I'm looking at my notes. So the next giveaway will be project bag, and our not project bag, project roll, if I can figure out how to mail it. And where's the funniest place you've ever found floss? And the other thing is, if you want to include in your comments whether you believe you're a hoarder or a collector. I'm a hoarder. My name is Carol, and I'm a hoarder of cross stitch and quilting fabric. And with that, I'll say adieu. Have a great Labor Day, and just keep stitching. Love you. Bye.